We've had to wait a little bit, but Utah football has finally picked up steam on the recruiting trail. They've landed several recruits, and does that mean this thing is now the hype train? Is it rolling? Is it going to continue? What are these guys bringing to the program? All that and more. We're breaking it down on today's Locked On Utes.
You are Locked On Utes, your daily podcast on the Utah Utes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for making Locked On Utes your first listen and view of the day. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, available wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. If it's your first time joining the show, make sure you like and subscribe. My name is JT Wistrcill, the host of this show, and I'm excited to be joined by former Utah and BYU football player and the president of War Room, also the CEO of Recruiting for Parents, basically anything in the sports world this man does. But he made time to come on today. Moose Bingham, always a blast having you on, my friend, and we're talking recruiting. Utah landed a ton of recruits. They landed 4 at the time we're recording this today alone, or 5. That's right. It actually ended up being 5. So it's incredible what Utah's been able to do today. And I'll just say this, Moose, before we really start diving in and breaking these guys down, Utah needed today. They only had a few guys committed, and this thing had to start moving. I know that you see a lot happen in June, so it wasn't like full on panic, but you lost out on a lot of the best guys in state. You had to at least start bringing in some guys, and I'm glad that Utah was able to do that, especially today.
Oh, man, Utah's a train, and it felt like it was a train that didn't quite get going. If you see those old train movies where the wheels are spinning and it hasn't got the traction yet, that's what Utah was for the longest time. I'm like, it's June 9th. Oh, no, we have no commits. It's June 10th. Thank the good Lord, here we go. We've got something going. Not do we just have something going, we got 5 commits. Not just slappies either. These are dogs. I love to see Utah going in and getting dudes from Texas, from Georgia, from California. We have a balanced national roster coming in, and it's going to be a fantastic thing if you're a fan of the men on the hill.
It is going to be fantastic. So we're going to break down these commits, the ones that they landed today in particular. In the past, I've covered what LaGarry Mitchell will bring to Utah. We are going to hit on Preston Pitts, but let's first start with the 3 guys that Utah was able to bring in and got commitments from today. I want to start first. Look, quarterbacks drive this sport. Let's start with Michael Johnson first, a true dual threat quarterback coming in. He's a guy, when I watch his film, I see potential here. This is a guy, 3-star prospect. He doesn't have necessarily the size you would love at the position, 5'11", 165, but this is a guy who, hey, I think he has a chance to grow and develop into something, not one I'm expecting to see on Utah on the field like as a true freshman, maybe even not a sophomore, but I like this added depth to a quarterback room, especially when Utah did just lose Wyatt Becker not too long ago, so needed to add more guys in future in this room. I think Johnson was a good pickup for Utah.
Yeah, I'm sad they lost Wyatt Becker. Big fan of his. But I think for what Johnson is, he fits Beck's system a lot better. And Utah had to come in. He had offers from Cincinnati and other schools as well. But coming out of Georgia, the football in Georgia is not good. It is amazing. And he was the #1 dual threat quarterback out of Georgia this year. You look at him throw. He's got a rocket attached to his shoulder. He does everything too. He runs track. He plays baseball. He pitched a perfect game. He does so many good things, and you're just like, this kid's a baller on and off the field. I mean, if he was 2 inches taller, I don't know if Utah would be in the conversation. That's kind of the nice thing, where hopefully he has like a Jordan Love situation where he grows a little bit when he gets on campus. But even if he doesn't, the kid has everything going for him. And the one thing Utah can provide is development and getting that muscle mass on him. He's 165 right now, but he's going to shoot up to be about 205, I think, when everything's said and done, and be a ball of muscle that's going to be tough to take down. And he's going to be that dual threat that Utah loves to use. And when Utah has dual threat quarterbacks, when they have senior level quarterbacks, and this kid's going to be a senior level quarterback when he starts, he's going to be probably starting his junior and senior year, and he's going to be a kid that will lead them to top national prominence.
That's some high praise right there. I mean, he's a guy who's the 45th ranked player for his position, the 101st ranked in the state. So that's a little concerning, but then you go, wait, he's Georgia. And Moose, you do a great job covering recruiting, mentioned recruiting for parents, just what you do with War Room as well, helping out programs across the country. Look, when you're talking recruiting, at least for me, and I'm curious if you line up on this as well, when I see a guy played, and Utah has incredible high school football as well. I'm not trying to shade them with what I'm about to say, but if you look nationally, Texas, California, Florida, Georgia, and then I don't even know who the next one could be, maybe in Ohio or somewhere else I'm forgetting. But like, to me, Georgia is like one of the 5 states that you look at and you go, anytime a guy played high school football there and has success there, it's going to catch my eyes. Do you feel the same way about those states?
I mean, here's the thing. If you take out the Catholic League in California, I don't know if California is a top state.
Ooh.
Texas is a top state. If you take away IMG and some of the recruiting in Florida, I don't know if Florida is a top state year in and year out. Georgia, they pay their coaches well over 6 figures. It's a coaching destination. There is a lot of good kids. I flew out to Georgia to Atlanta to go meet with South Forsyth, just barely. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, this is one of the more talented teams. And they're like, we're probably like a 500 team. And I'm like, no way. And they're like, we'll get better, but we've got a ways to go. And I'm looking at the dudes there. I'm like, this would be a team that can compete in one of the top regions in Utah right now. So Georgia has a ton of talent. They've got some of the best coaching in the country because they pay for it. And they've got just a history of dudes. If you're a great dude in Florida, a lot of times you'll go up to Georgia because they'll pay. And that's just the honest truth. And so here's the deal. Georgia is high level football. You can't go a Friday night without seeing a guy that's going to be playing on Sundays when you go to Georgia.
And that shows you right there what Johnson was able to do against guys like that should have us excited. When I turn on the tape with him, I see a guy who has the potential to be, who showed good touchdown feel, I thought, too. Looks effortless on some of those long throws, too. Can fit balls into tight windows over the middle of the field. Great speed as well. I mean, he's a true dual threat guy, right? Can make things happen when the play breaks down, goes through his progressions, can make throws on the move. A good decision maker, too. And he put up really strong numbers last year. I mean, over 2,700 passing yards, 24 touchdowns, just 6 interceptions as well, too. 584 rushing yards, 10 touchdowns. This is a dual threat guy. And as you mentioned, Moose, there's a reason you think he can achieve big things at the next level. And I already mentioned too, Utah doesn't have a lot of future quarterback commits right now. You know, they brought in Bird Ficklin, who I'm excited about too, but what's after Bird? Who else is going to be a guy there? You get a Zerbrug, a Wilson, but they've now been in college for a year. And also just in the portal, you need to have a stacked room. And Johnson's the guy with upside that I'm very much so intrigued by.
Yeah, me too. And with Beck, he has 2 different types of quarterbacks. He has what they call thorterbacks, a Bryce Perkins, a Taysom Hill. And then he has speed backs like Devin Dampier, where he's like, okay, let's get a dude that can get in space, that can really get that. They'll do a lot of rollouts with these speedier quarterbacks. And he'll say, hey, if you can take those 10 yards, take what they give you and let's get it down. And when they do that, you'll see the defensive backs play up, and then you'll have all these over-the-top shots. And Beck loves to mess with defensive coordinators. It's like having Albert Einstein in the booth when Beck is there.
Yeah, he does incredible work, Jason Beck does. And one thing that we just have to do right now is trust his evaluation too. And I do. When I turn on Johnson, I see the talent. But at the same time, Utah was by far his best offer. You could say Cincinnati's in there too, but just keeping it real, since Luke Fickell's left, that program is nowhere near what they used to be as well. So Utah, one of just 2 P4 offers that Johnson had. So I think Utah found a diamond in the rough, but time will tell. It'll be interesting to keep an eye out. And thankfully, Johnson wasn't the only guy that Utah landed at. Utah had an incredibly productive day landing recruit after recruit, and we're going to continue to break them down on Locked On Utes in a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Utes is brought to you by our friends at Monarch Money. Have you ever checked your bank account and wondered, hey, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all of your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you can stop just managing your money and genuinely start building wealth. They have that surprising insight. When I started using Monarch, I realized just how much I was spending on food delivery. Now I budget smarter and save even more. So also that all-in-one convenience. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. So also that easy collaboration. Managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. You can take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use that code LOCKEDONCollege, all caps, no spaces, at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year when you use Monarch Money today. Moose Bingham back with me here talking all things Utah recruiting and what a productive day it was for the Utah Utes recruiting yesterday. I want to talk about the next guy they landed. Actually ended up being the first one. Major Hitchin is the next guy they landed, a cornerback out of California, 6'2", 175, a three-star prospect, ranked 123rd in his position. Another guy, he's not in the top 100 in California, but it is a state like California. And I know you said if you could take the Catholic schools out, maybe it's not as high, but those schools are in there, so you get a lot of really talented guys as well. What do you think of Hitchin?
I mean, he had Cal, he had Missouri, he had Nebraska. 6'2", 170. He has some real speed. He's a true field corner. He's not the strongest tackler in the class, but he can learn that. And that's the nice thing. He doesn't have to be the strongest tackler. He can take on those 6'4" receivers, and he can out-jump them. He can do everything he needs. He's smooth. He's solid. He's got great hips. He just has all of the tools you're looking for in a phenomenal cornerback. And when he gets with Sharif, I mean, that's the magic right there. Utah's getting back to the basics. Let's find the guys that have the skill set we need, develop them, and then take these 3 stars and turn them into 5s that get drafted on draft night.
That's what they've done with guys in the past, and hopefully Hitchen can be one of them. I mean, I see similar things to you. Just good speed, plays, or excuse me, we're actually getting ahead of myself. I was going to read the stuff for the wrong guy. Good hands, athletic, reads QB's eyes well too, plays ball well in the air, can cover guys on an island. Little athletic too, return some punts as well too, and just a good change of direction as well too. And this is another example of a guy, Moose, and you hinted at it already a little bit, but whenever Morgan Scally and Sharif Shaw, and this is cornerback room, so more Sharif Shaw, right? When they identify a corner, I trust their evaluation too. And I do see a world where Hitchen can be a starter on the outside for Utah in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't like him at boundary corner. So coming and playing in the flats and doing all that stuff. But I like him at field where he's just taking the go routes and he's just eliminating your number 1 receiver.
And that is a monster skill. If you can have that with some of the collegiate receivers we're seeing talent-wise across the country too. So it was a very strong day for Utah. I'm going to talk about LaMarcus Bell on a future episode. I want to give him a full first segment shine because I think he could be a special guy. But I know Moose, I was going to say, I know you won't let me get out of here without mentioning Bell. So I would love for you to share your thoughts on what he brings to this team.
So Bell is the highest rated kid in this whole entire class. I mean, he's got an 89 rating. He's just on the border of a 4-star, 5'11", 190, coming out of Lake Oswego. Lake Oswego actually is a really good program, but Oregon football, not the best, let's be honest here. But he had BYU, he had Cal, he had Wazoo, he had Arizona. He had 2,000 yards as a junior, 29 touchdowns, and he just looks like he's playing at a different speed than his whole competition. It's hilarious. I'm like, I kept rewinding it. I'm like, is this on fast forward? And then I'm like, it can't be on fast forward for one guy. That just doesn't check out. But it is. It's hilarious. I love how he runs behind his pads. He really is an all-purpose back. Like, he's a workhorse for his team. He has vision. He's special at identifying cutback lanes. And he's perfect in 10 personnel, 11 personnel. He can be that single back that you throw to out of the backfield, that you ask to run between the tackles, that you throw on a sweep. He does it all, and he's just getting better every time I watch him.
Yeah, he's a guy I'm excited about. And as you mentioned, he's the highest graded guy. So to me, I do want to give him his own shine on a full show. Honestly, it's hard to talk about all these. When you land this many recruits in one day, it's hard to fit it all in one show. So that's why some of these guys I wanted to save for another episode. And Bell is one of them. And honestly, too, just with how crazy the news cycle has been, the house settlement, so many things going on right now, Moose. I didn't even get a chance to talk about Preston Pitts back when he committed, the Texas product, 6'4", 213 pounds, linebacker in high school, but Utah projects him as an edge guy too. And he's the 39th ranked linebacker. So it'll be an interesting decision that Utah does want to move him there. He's the 81st ranked player in Texas, which is another thing that gets me excited. What are your thoughts on Pitts?
Yeah, it's kind of funny when people talk about edge versus outside linebacker. It depends on what kind of defense you're running. And Utah, he fits perfectly for edge. And that's what he does for his high school team all the time right now. He's coming off the edge. He's heel lining. He's getting to the quarterback. He needs to work on his tackling a little bit. He looks like he just bear hugs and swallows the quarterback. But he's fast. He's a 4.6 40 guy. And I really like how he covers as well. He's got sticky hands. He's opportunistic. Like, his frame can be filled out. He really is like a oh, goodness gracious. Freak.
You are drawing a blank, aren't you? I would love to help you out, but are you comparing to a Utah guy? You want to give me something I can help with?
Yeah, I'm comparing him to a Utah guy. He's just like
recent or old?
Team captain, 2014, played for the Jets, Trevor Riley.
Oh, there you go. Okay, I was going to say, I was on the tip of yeah.
Yeah, sorry. So he's like a Trevor Riley to me, where Trevor came out of high school. He was thin. He really got into the weight room when he got into college, and that's what made him shoot up draft boards. He played in the NFL for a long time. Super smart kid, just like Preston Pitts. So I think Preston has a really bright future if he buys into the weight room. He's a kid that could be a 3-year starter after redshirting at Utah. And I think he could be an absolute dog as a redshirt freshman on special teams as well. He does it all, and he's a kid that you're like, we got to find a way to get him on the field. If it's outside backer, great. But I love how he fits in the edge, and I love that he can fly to the flats and just destroy running backs in that area right there as well.
I do too. I mean, when I turn it on, you see an incredible athlete, a guy who can track down QBs, good speed, the physicality too, plays the option game well, physical against the run, sets the edge too a little bit too. Didn't play with his hand in the dirt a lot, so that'd be an interesting adjustment that he has to make at Utah too. Needs to build on some strength as well too, but those are things that come with time as you're shifting over to defensive end. Do you agree with the move to D end, or would you keep him at linebacker if you were Utah? I'm curious.
Well, edge is that kind of like mix and mash. Like, what are you going to have him do? And that's what he can do. If you need him in a 2-point, great. If you get down to a 40 personnel where you're like, hey, let's get a 4-down lineman, stick his hand in the dirt, and he can handle those offensive tackles with his speed rush. And he can get those moves where he can do a little twist in coming back in as well. So I like the move to end if that's what they do, or edge as we're calling it. But I think he could do really, really good because he has such a combination of skills that Utah found themselves a diamond in the rough.
Yeah, and he ended up being the first commitment because technically it was Colby Simmons or Simpson, excuse me, but then he decommits. So now Pitts is the first guy that Utah was able to get, and it's a guy with upside and is intriguing. And entering the time, so we were recording this June 10th, right? Entering today, Utah had 2 guys committed. They were able to gain 3. Moose, you've lived in this recruiting world. Are days like today, how big are they for a team? Do you feel like this will swing the momentum for Utah now? Are we going to see more commits coming up the rest of the week? What do you expect to happen now after Utah had by far their best recruiting day they've had of the entire 26 class?
Well, I expect them to keep trickling in. And Utah, it seems like they've had really good official visits. And I think a lot of these kids have committed. I think Utah is going to kind of do a drip campaign. Let each kid or each couple kids really enjoy their commitment and have 2 or 3 commits commit a day. And then you're like, okay, now we're getting our guys, we're getting momentum, and they're keeping the news cycle and everything fresh where everyone's like, what's going on at Utah? What's going on at Utah? What's going on at Utah? And you're going to see a lot of more guys coming in. But this should just be the start of what Utah is trying to get done.
Well, you said right there, like what's going on at Utah. I still think there is a little bit of that exists, though, just because they missed out on the best talent in the state. Now, granted, Celesi Moa could commit at any time, and then it's like, okay, you got at least one of those guys, and that's a big thing for Utah, right? But you've missed out on the Bob Mooley-Talls. You missed out on the Brock Harris, and those guys I just mentioned, too, they ended up at your rival at BYU. So, like we said, we've been talking about what's going on in Utah, but there is some of that concern that still exists a little bit just because of what we've seen with some of the top guys in the state choosing BYU. NIL things can all be other factors. And look, it's a credit to BYU for doing it, but it still hurts when your rival's gaining the best in the state and you're not.
Well, here's the thing. These kids have a short memory, so you really have to see and be like, hey, Utah's been dominant most of the 20th century, but the last few games have gone BYU's way. And the recruits realize that. They can see the momentum at BYU, and Utah has always been on a playing field where they have the advantage. The playing field is even now. And so that's the other thing that's coming up that's interesting. And then a lot of these recruits, the big question is, what happens after Kyle Whittingham retires? And so there's things that have to be answered. And when they're on official visits and they're spending time with Morgan Scalley, you'll see a lot of these guys on their recruitment, on their recruit edits, they're with Morgan Scalley. Not a lot of them are with Kyle Whittingham, if you notice. They're saying, hey, we believe in Morgan. We believe what's going down in the future. We believe in Jason Beck. And I think that Utah has all of the tools to do something really special, but you have to get guys to buy in quickly.
You do. And I want to continue to talk big picture recruiting stuff in a moment. But Moose, I will say, we've talked about all these different guys now, the 3 different ones. Utah's 5 players committed in this class so far. which one are you most excited out of the either ones we talked about today or just in general? The 5 recruits in the 2026 class that have committed to Utah so far, which one do you think is going to end up being the best one, or who excites you the most right now?
Who's going to be the best one? I mean, Major could be the best one. I think Preston really could be the best one. Michael's the most intriguing to me. LaGarry Mitchell coming out of Idaho. I mean, he's a modern day inside linebacker. He loves to cover. He loves to hit. He does everything right. He kind of reminds me a little bit of a Jackson Kafusi or kind of a Corene Reed, honestly. I like LaGarry Mitchell a lot, but I think LaMarcus Bell will have the most impact the quickest out of all of these guys. And so that's why he's my favorite.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. I'm excited to see what Mitchell can produce with this team. And I'm really excited for LaMarcus Bell, too, is another one, too. I think he's going to be just an absolute stud. That'd be the guy I'd probably look at right now and say, I think he's capable of doing some great things. And we've talked about it a little bit now, but Utah hasn't done the greatest in the 26 class outside of today. So you got your 5 now, which is exciting. So then you go, hey, how are you doing compared to the rest of the Big 12? And honestly, Utah's, to me, they're doing fine. The one thing Utah hasn't done yet is they haven't landed a 4-star prospect. That's what some of the other Big 12 programs have done, right? Your Arizona States, your Kansas, those ones have a couple more 4-stars. They have 3 to 4. Most of those ones do. But if you're Utah, then the rest of those rosters that are made up for those other Big 12 teams, it's all 3-star guys. There's not some 5-star guys over there. So yeah, is Utah maybe a little behind, and maybe will they necessarily, I don't think they're going to have the best recruiting class in the Big 12. Probably won't, honestly, just based on some trends moving forward in general. But I still think it's a Utah team that's right there. They're still going to be able to compete with these guys. I mean, yes, you'd like to add a 4-star here at some point, but I don't think Utah's too far behind these teams. And I think as long as they land at least 1 4-star, I think that's really good for this class.
No, and I really think landing Michael Johnson is bigger than people realize. Like, we had the 3 guys, the quarterback, the running back, and the receiver out of Florida a couple years ago. And I think Michael James could bring another 1 or 2 kids from Georgia saying, hey, Utah's pretty dope. Let's go do something cool out there. And I think that's what they're going to have to rely on. Maybe get Preston Pitts to grab a couple kids out of Texas and be like, hey, Utah's really good. We've seen what they've done with all of these guys. You can be next. Let's get it going. And that's the nice thing with Utah. They just started their snowball. It's going to start rolling. There's going to be the momentum building until you've got an avalanche. And that's what we want out of the University of Utah. And now you've got guys that aren't just sitting there lonely and it's just one guy sitting there. If these guys were already committed, I don't think we'd lose any recruits.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think that's the case either. And I think things are trending positively for Utah. And I think by the end of this, it's going to be a strong recruiting class. As I mentioned, a lot of those other Big 12 teams like, oh, they got so many guys committed. It's like, but yeah, they have 10 3-star guys. Like Utah's going to be able to sign 10 3-star guys. It's just the nature of how the cycles work. Moose, I'll ask you this. How big, and I know there's different levels of 4-star versus like different levels of a 3-star. How big is that gap to you? It's just 1 star, but how big is the gap between 4 and 3 stars? How do you kind of evaluate that line as someone who does this and watches a ton of film?
So 4 stars, it's kind of interesting. Most cycles, you grade a 4-star of someone that has NFL potential in your mind, and a 5-star is someone that they think is a first-round draft pick. And so there's only 32 5-stars in a cycle. And the rest of the 4-stars, there can be up to 400 4-stars. And I think the difference between a high-level 3-star and a low-level 4-star is nothing. A lot of times these 4-stars are guys that have been in the recruiting cycle earlier than everyone else. They're guys that were freshman All-Americans or max preps All-Americans. And so I don't think there's much of a difference between a high 3-star and a low 4-star at all, to be honest with you. And it may just be fanfare, because some of these high 4-stars, you'll notice you'll click on their Twitter, their Instagram, and they have 100,000 followers. And so when these media guys write about them, they get some clout as well by writing about these guys. Are they as talented as the 3-stars? Oftentimes not. Some of these 3-star guys, they end up growing 6 inches between their sophomore and junior year. And they just didn't quite make the 4-star camps or do the things or have the money to do that. So I think getting the high 3-stars, a lot of these guys don't have the fanfare and they don't have the expectations that the 4-stars do. And they're almost better prospects at the end of the day if you know where to find the right 3-stars.
Well, when we see 4-stars flame out all the time, some 5-stars don't work, but that's more rare. It's more often than not, you'll see a 4-star that doesn't hit his potential. And I mean, hence why Utah, we've talked about this before on the show, but like Utah's beaten Oregon and USC, based on the paper battle of who has the better recruits, that should never happen. But Utah does a better job recruiting, developing, finding the guys that fit their system, and then they end up on top. It's one thing I'm like curious with US. I mean, USC has 17 4-star recruits in the class of 2026. Like, is that going to materialize for the Trojans? Obviously, that's a program that needs to be good probably this year for Lincoln Riley to keep his job as well, too. So those are the interesting things that end up shaking out. Moose is the final thing I want to ask you about. What do you think? A couple years ago, Utah landed Fano, Snowden, at the time, Hunter Clegg, who's now at BYU. But like Utah had this awesome class, right? Top 25 class, best they've ever had. Do you think, and maybe things are different now that we're in the rev sharing era and they're trying to they're trying to level the playing field more, although collectives will be collectives. Do you think we will see Utah get a top 25 class again? Or do you think we'll consistently see Utah inside the top 50, but not back in that top 25, maybe not even top 30 again?
I think you'll see Utah get a top 25 class, but they have to do what they were doing before, and they have to win the Big 12. They have to be going to the playoffs. They have to have that momentum because kids want to play for a winner. Money won't matter at the end of the day if they're playing for a winner. Teams that are putting guys in the NFL, which Utah does, and that are playing in big New Year's Six type bowl games. And if Utah's doing that, I guarantee you they're going to have a top 25 class again. But it's a pivotal year for Utah both ways, because we can be like the last couple of years were a fluke because we were dealing with quarterback injuries, or that's kind of where we're at as a program. And so if Utah does good this next year, they're going to right the ship, and you're going to start seeing top 30, top 40, top 20 classes. If Utah has a bad year this year, the sky could be falling. So this is probably the most important year in the history of the University of Utah.
No pressure. Yeah, just only the most important as you mentioned there. So that's crazy, but you're not wrong, especially in this new era of college sports. It's a pivotal year, and Utah's got some high expectations. We were talking about some of those before we even jumped on. This is a team like Phil Steele, as his college football magazine he thinks Utah could win the Big 12 and should win the Big 12 this year. And obviously they failed to do that last year, but as long as they can contend and get back towards the top, I think that is a positive step in the right direction in what we expect to be Kyle Whittingham's final season. So it'll be fascinating to see how it all plays out. Moose, you mentioned it. There are only so many 5-star recruits, but you, my friend, are absolutely a 5-star guest. So thank you as always for making the time, brother. And please let everyone know what you have going on.
Oh, I appreciate it. Still have recruiting for parents, still have War Room, and the Utah Preps podcast will be coming out. So if you guys want to know who some of the future guys Utah should be going after, the Utah Preps podcast, our preseason list will be coming out, and it's always a doozy. Seeing who's rated high, seeing what parents will be calling and yelling at me is always a fun thing to see.
Oh, well, maybe we'll get to people in the comments mad at you too, since you don't get enough of them yelling at you too, Moose. So there you go, my friend. Thanks for taking the time to come on, man. Appreciate you.
Anytime. Love you, JT.
Love you, brother. All righty, that's going to do it for today's Locked On News. We'll be back tomorrow talking the latest at Utah football, Utah recruiting, and Utah athletics. Hope you'll join us then.